Planning an essay. Imagine you're at home with nothing to do and money to burn. Your friend calls. He says, "Pack your bag, we're driving to Florida." An hour later, you're on your way. You say, "What route will we take?" He says, "I don't know. Let's just head east." You wouldn't take a road trip without making a plan. Writing anything of length, especially an essay, is a road trip for your mind. If you don't make a plan, you'll get lost, run out of gas, or end up at a scary motel where, I promise you, the lack of cell service will be the least of your worries. Research shows that one important difference between strong writers and struggling writers is that strong writers make plans and struggling writers don't. Struggling writers head for Florida without having any idea of where they're going. So what do? Let's start by discussing what doesn't work, what you shouldn't do. Having no plan doesn't work. Neither does free writing. Free writing is when you start writing and see where your writing takes you. Free writing can be a great strategy if you need to get what you know down on paper, and if you're disciplined enough to pick out one or two ideas that you can then develop into a first draft. But most students, they don't do that. They use free writing as a way to generate a first draft, and then they're left with an unfocused paper. I recommend that you avoid free writing for essays. Save it for your journal. So, what strategies do work? Lists work. Lists can help you figure out your choices, which is great because your first idea isn't always your best idea. What's your best idea? The one you can write about with the most evidence, detail, authority, and passion. I make lots of lists when I write. The first list helps me choose the topic I'm going to develop. The second list helps me figure out all the evidence I could use for that topic. The third list helps me group evidence and structure my paragraphs. It's basically my outline. Clustering also works. Clustering is when you take your best idea, maybe you even choose it from a list, and you turn it into connected thought bubbles. The one in the middle is your big idea. The offshoots are ideas related to the big idea, and the littler offshoots are ideas or examples related to the connected ideas. Clustering can help you see visually how your ideas are connected. For a timed essay, the clusters might even help you figure out what your paragraphs will include. For a longer paper, you can always take your clusters and rearrange and reorganize them in outline form. In this next strategy, you answer the who, what, where, when, and why of the prompt. Essay writers often like this strategy because the why is almost always the thesis, which means in 5 short questions, you've gotten to the heart of the matter. And here's a hint. You don't have to be writing about people to use this strategy. The who can be whatever you're writing about. In a paper about sexual assault on college campuses, the who could be colleges. In a paper about totalitarianism, the who could be totalitarianism. Lists, clustering, and the 5 W's are great ways to brainstorm. But as I've suggested, you still may need an outline. The longer the paper, the more extensive your planning may need to be. You can't do a lot for a blue book essay, but think it through for longer essays. Your outline doesn't have to be fancy. I'm a big fan of bullet points and having a general sense of what paragraphs I want and what big pieces of evidence I want. I also realize that I'm not wedded to anything that happens in my brainstorm, outline, or even first draft. Revising is where the magic happens. Remember, strong writers make plans, and that extends to how they plan their time. That plan will differ on whether or not you're writing a timed in-class essay, like a final, or a non-timed essay, something you've been given outside time to work on. No one is an expert at time management at first. Time yourself. See how long each part of the writing process takes you, in general, and then use that knowledge to help or even push you to modify your work habits. Good luck!